An incredible privilege, and not just for the opportunity to travel and represent scouting and the Order of the Arrow this year, but it's a privilege to see the work that scouting is doing in our communities and the way that the Order of the Arrow is supporting that in all sorts of ways. You know, I have seen some absolutely incredible testaments of service this year, and for the opportunity to meet with the people on the front lines who are making that happen, who are representing our order, for the opportunity to make lifelong friendships along the way, and especially for the opportunity to grow a little bit myself, I am incredibly thankful.
Awesome. And Alex, what is it like to be the Southern Region Chief?
Well, I can tell you it's an opportunity like none other. Being able to lead the NLS throughout the year has truly been something I can't really put words to. Being able to be there with the youth that are really interested, and some adults that are really interested in learning more about what it takes to be a leader, not only in the Order of the Arrow or the Boy Scouts of America, but also in life. And with that small group of people, it's really good to get to see what they think about the OA and how much has impacted them. And those are the moments I truly cherish as Southern Region Chief.
For sure, for sure. So being a national officer is a huge commitment. And I think the biggest question a lot of people ask and wonder themselves, why did you want to be a national officer or a national chief in the Southern Region Chief?
You know, I think what really got me interested in serving as a national officer was the chance to be a part of the conversation, not only about the Centennial, but about where the OA is headed afterward. And so I really wanted the chance to be a part of the team that's laying the foundation for our next century of service. And so I decided to run for national office with that intent, with the hope that I would be able to set some objectives and to work with a team that would lead the Order of the Arrow into our second century of service in a really, really meaningful way.
Awesome. Alex?
And I would probably say that the thing that really stuck out for me that made me want to run for national office was I saw a change in our movement, the scouting movement. I saw an opportunity for us as youth to really have an impact in this turn of a century for our order. And it's through a tough time, I will say, as Alex can probably agree, but it's truly been amazing to see the impact that the order has had in scouting and how much scouting has had on other people. And running for national office wasn't my main intent, but towards the end of my term, when I was starting to think about running for it, I decided, you know, this could be something that I would benefit from and something I really think I could contribute to.
For sure. So continuing with the Order of the Arrow related questions, this Centennial year, 2015, how does it feel for you to be a part of the Centennial, and what does it mean to you personally?
Well, you know, firstly, I can't believe we're almost 8 months into it. I feel like it was just yesterday that we were getting installed and we were kind of the new guys on the block, but here we are, the National Order of the Arrow Conference has started. What does the Centennial mean? I think it's a chance for us to celebrate where we've been and what we've done, but more importantly, it's an opportunity for us to define what our next century of service is going to look like and to commit to doing that.
For sure.
Well, I can say that the Centennial is something I'm truly blessed to be a part of. It's something I never would have thought in a million years I would have been able to do, especially in this position. And I knew I would be involved in the Centennial because I knew when I was 16 and I got really involved in my lodge that I wanted to be around for it. Did I know I was going to be Region Chief? Absolutely not. But it's been an amazing experience, and it truly shows how much the OA can stand through the test of time.
Awesome. So here we are at MSU. As you guys have already said, what are you most excited about for this conference?
So I have to say that I'm incredibly excited for OA Warrior. We've got these giant inflatables set up in an obstacle course that is something like the size of a football field. I haven't seen it myself yet, but on Tuesday, I'm making some time to go out there to run through the obstacle course with this team and to see who's going to come out as our 2015 officer team's OA Warrior.
And I guess to add on to that, I did hear they have the world's largest inflatable slide.
Yeah.
And I am both excited yet quite terrified of what that would mean. And I just hope that our winds stay down for a little bit while we try and climb that Mount Everest of a slide.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like a blast. I'm pretty excited to head over there myself. So
We'll see you there.
I'll be there on Tuesday. So let's go on a little bit of a personal side. Tell us, how old are you? What are you doing in school? Where you go? And let's just, go with a little education.
Sure. I'm a 20-year-old marketing major at the University of Texas at Austin, over in Austin Hook'em Horns. I'm studying with a focus in brand strategy and brand development, with hopes to one day pursue a career in marketing consulting.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm 20 years old. I'm a rising junior at Georgia Regents University in Augusta, and I'm studying biology with the hopes of going into medicine. I'm looking at being in the emergency room, and it's been an interesting experience so far. I'm halfway there, but I got a long way to go.
For sure. So I can imagine it takes a incredible amount of time to be a national officer. But
Just 1 hour a week, Mitch, just like any other volunteer, right?
yes, something like that. So what do you do in your free time? Do you hang out with friends, or do any extracurriculars at school?
I'll admit, free time is few and far between these days, but what I love to do when I'm back home in Austin is just find something local that I've never done before. Earlier this year, my friends and I took a trip out paddleboarding, stand-up paddleboarding on Lady Bird Lake out in Austin. That was awesome, and it was a great way for me to just get out, put things to the side for a little while, and enjoy the company of some really, really good friends.
I think that the prime example of what I do in my free time is kind of spontaneous. A couple weeks ago, I was with AeroTour, and about the second to last day, I got a text from one of my friends that said, let's go to the beach this weekend. That was also the weekend before NOAC. So I was like, you know what? I could use a break. Little did I know that might have been a little bit of a mistake, but I'm grateful for other friends I have, and even though I'm flaking from a sunburn, I'll still be okay.
For sure. So here we got a tweet from Lodge34, and what is your favorite Taylor Swift song?
Oh, well, Mitch, I have to tell you, I actually went to Taylor Swift's 1989 concert in Boston, Massachusetts last week, so I am a huge fan of Taylor Swift. No questions asked. My favorite song of Taylor Swift on her 1989 album is Blank Space, but I've also got a favorite song for every other album that she has, too. I'll hold off so Alex can answer, though.
So, funny story about Alex and I. When we first met, we quickly found out our love for Taylor Swift was equal. In fact, I'm going to the 1989 tour in October, so we'll share some stories. But I would say that my favorite song from Taylor Swift is Teardrops on My Guitar. I know it's a little cheesy, but it's a good song.
Classic.
But I think on the 1999 album, I like Stay.
Awesome. So now that we're speaking of music and Taylor Swift, what type of music do you relax to? Or when you're in the car, what's the radio station right away?
I'm all about today's hits. Any good pop channel is going to be good for me. Taylor Swift, Owl City, Andy Grammer, they're all good for me.
My music is probably very, very weird. I like all sorts of music. I don't have a particular genre. I have a Spotify playlist with Wiz Khalifa to some contemporary Christian music, which doesn't seem to mix very well when you're jamming to something and then it changes songs. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a very odd mix, but there's not too many things I don't like. So I'm all over the place as far as music goes.
Awesome, for sure. So if you could say one thing to a first-time NOAC guest, what would that one thing be?
I could say one thing to a first-time NOAC guest. Get out there and do as much as you can. We created this Conference Champion Award, and if you haven't heard about it, go and log into the NOAC 2015 app and take a look at what the requirements are on your MySpark profile in order to become a conference champion. That's the best thing that you can do this week, because in earning the requirements to become a conference champion, you're going to be able to experience all of the coolest elements of the conference too.
And I would have to agree with Alex. My first NOAC was in 2009, and by far the biggest thing for me was to participate in those participation awards. And as Region Chief, I think it's only right that I mention the Region Chief Challenge.
Yeah, tell them about that.
It's kind of like a second tier of this Conference Champion Award, and it's for those who really get involved in the NOAC. It's not too hard, but our youth participants are really going to love the reward should they decide to complete that challenge.
And I hear you're handing them out in person at the hub,
yes,
right?
all the Region Chiefs will be out at our booths, handing out as many as possible as long as we can be in those booths, yes.
Awesome. So where do you see the Order of the Arrow in 10 years?
Where do I see the Order of the Arrow in 10 years? Well, hopefully we'll still be having NOAC. And hopefully we're still going to have the excitement and the energy and the passion. But one thing that I do know, no matter where we are, what we're doing in 10 years, I know that the Order of the Arrow is going to continue being the catalyst of good service in scouting. That's one thing that I know is never going to change about the Order of the Arrow.
I'm hoping in the next 10 years, the Region Chiefs have been working on the SOS that's coming up in the next couple of weeks, which is a little soon for me, but we'll get there. And one of the focuses is, our theme is called the After Effect. And we're kind of gearing towards what will we be in 10 years. And so I'm hoping that with this SOS and with these next few months, we'll find out what it means to be a part of the scouting movement and what it means to be involved in our community. And we're hoping that through these next 10 years, whether we're officers or not, or in the committee or not, we'll still be involved and we'll be here for when it changes and when we have a truly, truly successful order.
Definitely. And for those that might not know what an SOS is, do you want to elaborate on what that is?
So the SOS, or Section Officer Seminar, has many names depending on which region you're from. They can be the gathering of leaders if you're in the Northeast. The West has another name, I can't remember.
Region Gathering.
The Region Gathering.
Yeah.
So there's a couple names for it, but essentially it's where your section leadership meets up and we talk about the conclave, we talk about what we're going to be doing in this year and what you should try to do as a section chief or section officer to better enhance your lodges and ultimately the troops and the chapters that come out of that.
Awesome. So you've gotten here, you've come a very long way. I think it's only right that we tell a little bit of our history and hear what you guys have started as a little Cub Scout or not. Where have we gone? What was your journey up to this point? So Alex,
I've got quite the story, Mitch. I'll start by explaining how I got into scouting. I would have never joined Cub Scouts if it hadn't been for my father. See, this Cub Scout recruiter came to my elementary school and they told us all about the Cub Scouts. I had no interest in being a Cub Scout, let me tell you. But they were pretty smart about the way they recruited us. They put these little wristbands around our wrist that you couldn't take off. So I went home, and the first thing I did when I got home was I turned to my dad and I said, "Hey, Dad, can you cut this wristband off of my wrist?" And he looked at it and read the details and said, "Well, sure, right after we go to school night for scouting." So we went, and I was not at all interested in joining Pac 91. But that was until my friend Ray walked into the room, and Ray said, "Hey, I just registered for Cub Scouts. Are you going to be in the den too?" And I didn't want to be left behind, so I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So somehow, 14 years later, I'm still around. I joined when I was 6. I'm 20 now, and I have had one incredible adventure. Earned my Eagle Scout in 2012, the Centennial of the Eagle Scout. Became a member of the Order of the Arrow in May of 2008. And I've served in a variety of leadership positions, my first one being Lodge Treasurer. That's another funny story, but you'll have to come to our National Leadership Seminar to hear the story about that.
Awesome. And Alex?
So Alex and I have a very similar timeline. I guess it's just what happens when you're born around the same time, but it was a school event. I went in, the Cub Master was my soccer coach. So I already knew him, and I was kind of already excited about it just because I knew he was my soccer coach. And I came home that day and said, "Dad, let's do Cub Scouts." He's like, "Good, you're doing it anyway." So that's kind of where it started. I have the fortunate story to say that I'm the third generation of Eagle Scouts in my family. So it was kind of expected of me to finish my Eagle rank and get all the way up there. So I earned my Eagle in 2012, the Centennial of the Eagle Scouts. I was also inducted in May of 2008, probably the same weekend for all we know.
Yep, that's right. We share so much in common, actually, not just a name.
So it's truly destiny, Alex.
It is.
But it's been a journey, and I can tell you my first chapter meeting, I was told, you're running for chapter office. So I've been working every single aspect of the OA ever since.
Awesome. So what is the coolest lodge flap that you've ever seen in all of your travels, other than your own, of course?
Yes.
What is your favorite?
I have seen some absolutely incredible ones, Mitch. But I think I'd have to say that in general, my favorite ones are the ones that do something kind of out of the ordinary. Just over the last couple hours, I've seen light up lodge flaps with LEDs in them. I've seen lodge flaps with QR codes on them. I've seen even a patch. My own lodge did one like this that had a rotating item that came off of the patch that you could move. So just those kind of ones that do something really out of the ordinary looks great.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we've kind of seen an evolution of patches, I would say, in the last few years. And I think the coolest ones are the ones that they put little medals on them, little pins or whatever that's attached to it, and it adds a little sparkle to it when you wear it. And I've seen a couple in my section that are like that, actually. And those are the ones that really get your attention, the ones that sparkle or, heck, glow in the dark sometimes, or change colors in the light. So those are the ones I really find interesting.
Awesome. So one last question for you both here. For those airmen that can't be at the NOAC in person, what do you want to tell them?
Well, I can tell you to enjoy the air conditioning from your own home, because that's one thing we don't have a whole lot of here at MSU. But the other thing I can tell you is that just because you're at home does not mean that you're not a part of this Centennial experience. Whether you're working this week, whether you're out at scout camp, everybody that's doing something in service to other people is helping us celebrate our Centennial in a really meaningful way. Don't miss out on the opportunity to watch some of the best of conference right here on NOAC TV. I think they're doing that every night and doing some events throughout the day too. Definitely keep up with that. Keep up with us on social media. And I'm actually doing something really special on Wednesday night. So don't miss out on the live stream of our NOAC shows at noac2015.org/TV on Wednesday night.
For sure.
Absolutely. And Alex brought up a great point that just because you're not here doesn't mean you can't tune in. But one of the other things I want to talk about is there's only 15,000 of us here. There are over 150,000 airmen in our order. So it's important for you to know that just because you're not here, you're still a member of our great order, and you can bring all the messages we have here straight to your lodge, straight home to your friends and family.
And I think there's one group out there tonight especially that deserves a shout out. And it's those adult advisors and volunteers who willingly gave up their registration and their seat at this conference so that a youth member from their area could have the experience of a lifetime this week. We had 17,000 people that were interested in coming to NOAC, and unfortunately we only had space for 15,000. So tonight, if you're an adult advisor or a volunteer who gave up your seat at this conference so that a youth member could have the experience of a lifetime, thank you. You have my utmost gratitude and respect, and the gratitude of our entire officer team.
Awesome, and that is for sure. So guys, thank you so much for joining us here on NOAC Tonight. Be sure to join us tomorrow for more events live from 2015 National Order of the Arrow Conference. Visit noac2015.org/TV for a full schedule of streaming. I'm Mitch Leonard. Good night.